Okay, so my name is Greg Marsh, and let's see, it's 7 o'clock in Colorado on a Thursday evening in August, and this is a webinar on natural eyesight improvement, and probably not too many people from Europe here since it's the middle of the night. I know at least one person asked me for sure what time it would be in Melbourne, Australia. So we might have kind of an international thing going. And let's see. And Keith is from Toronto. We might have him come back for a question. But what I like to do in these webinars, it's like, and this is something that I learned in martial art, is if some of you have studied martial art, you know that the white belts and the yellow belts and the green belts and the brown belts and the black belts and then the multi-level black belts all practice together. And there's something really magical about that, about coming from different perspectives. And in the arts that I studied, Aikido and similar, you know, a lot of it was blending and things. And sometimes somebody who was brand new would be a real challenge for somebody who's a black belt. Coming from different perspectives sometimes has a really amazing synergy. And, you know, in the case of the black belt trying to throw the beginner can't cooperate and do all the tricks. So the black belt really has to learn something. And so anyway, I'm just making an analogy. I really like to do these webinars in a way that that people who are just getting into reading glasses that we can work together in a way that you can benefit at the same time as somebody who's been doing, say, you know, like really strong nearsighted glasses and got a bunch of floaters, astigmatism, maybe scared about detached retina, things like that. Yeah, so how about, let's see, if you're wearing glasses or contacts, I recommend taking the glasses off or the contacts out, maybe even keeping the glasses handy if you like. Yeah, it'll help you as you do start seeing a little more clearly, or even it'll let your eyes relax more, because the strong lenses almost kind of force your eyes to keep straining at the level they were at when you got tested at the eye doctor for that prescription. So you might want to take your glasses off. And now let me see. I was just bragging about this program. Let me see if, okay, I can share. Now, could somebody let me know if you can see my cursor going back and forth?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So go ahead and have a look at this eye chart, and just without your glasses preferably, and just notice which row or rows might be a little bit readable and which rows are pretty blurry. Because what's really nice is to get a reference point so that you can come back later and you can go, wow, that's more clear. And the thing is, if you don't get a reference point before you start, now if you have reading glasses, what you could do is take off your glasses and get close to the screen, and you could either read the bottom row of my eye chart, or this is Microsoft Word, you could look at some of that tiny print at the top, and you know, maybe you can just get close enough that you'll be able to see which part, which rows, which words are a little hard to read. And then we'll come back to this in a bit. So, okay. So, you know, a lot of times when I've done these webinars, just because it's my own history, I've started out with nearsightedness and maybe even been a little bit too attentive to nearsightedness. And and it's one thing to have a soundbite and say, oh yeah, it's the same techniques for nearsightedness, for farsightedness, for astigmatism, even for crossed eyes, some of the same techniques, and cataract, glaucoma, because in every case, just close your eyes for a second and just kind of imagine Dr. Bates' perspective on this. He basically said, okay, you've got your eyes, right? And, they have focusing mechanism. And everybody knows that the lens of the eye, or you probably know, the lens of the eye can actually change shape to focus. Well, there are a lot of other very strong muscles around the eyes. And those muscles, according to Dr. Bates and some other people, those muscles are very involved too in focusing the eyes. But then if you have something like cross-eyed, you have a muscle on this eye, and I'll try to talk here so that people who called in on the phone will have an idea what I'm doing too. But say on the inside of your left eye, say there's a tight muscle and it just can't let go. Well, that muscle didn't just get tight and fall out of the sky. It has to do with thoughts and emotions. So again, with your eyes closed, just imagine it's kind of, forgive this analogy, it's kind of like a symphony, and whoever's directing it, which is basically ourselves, maybe our parents are involved and our teachers and things like that, but whoever's directing this orchestra and who's ever playing in it, is orchestrating maybe nearsightedness or orchestrating perfect vision or orchestrating astigmatism or orchestrating conical cornea. And thanks so much for all of you writing down, or a lot of you did anyway, write down things that you're interested in. And even if I don't cover them exactly, I'm hoping that in spirit you can feel how this affects your conditions, your situations. So again, whatever's being orchestrated, it helps sometimes just to close your eyes to feel this. Just imagine, are your shoulders a little tight? Is your neck a little tight? If you're nearsighted, you may not even realize it, but your chest is very tight. Okay. And how about your belly? How about your digestive system? Okay. And what kind of thoughts are you thinking? Or do your thoughts tend to be fairly negative through the day or fairly positive? And none of this with any judgment. We're all doing the best we can in this crazy world. But the Bates method can be coupled with a lot of other things. Like before we started, we were talking about EFT with Nancy. And so again, okay, closing your eyes and just feeling how, if there's tension in the shoulders, in the neck, and in those eye muscles, there's 6 eye muscles that are around the outside of the eye. And if there's tension in those, you can kind of sense that rigidity of your eyes. And you can kind of sense how the more tense or tight that gets, maybe the more shallow your breathing gets. See if you can notice that. Okay, relax your eyes until you find yourself starting to breathe. That's good. Okay, and now tighten your eyes and just imagining you're tightening all the thoughts and emotions that go behind them. And then you may notice your shoulders getting tight. Maybe you're not breathing, or you're breathing shallowly. So what Dr. Bates said, which was really cool, is he said there's an infinite number of ways that you can connect all these thoughts and muscles and all that to get all these different outcomes. And a lot of you already believe that, if you're familiar with Louise Hay, who quote unquote kind of wrote the book originally about specific emotional causes that result in specific maladies. And then on the bright side, then she gave specific affirmations to help counter them. So again, just closing your eyes, you can kind of feel how those things all might come together. Okay, so now you go to the eye doctor. The eye doctor says, oh, whoa, you have early cataracts, you know, and you go, you know, and maybe you don't even want to know that. You know, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire, because then your subconscious is going, cataracts, cataracts. The man in the white coat told me I have cataracts. Oh my goodness. So, so you can see now there's like one more bit of leverage that's making whatever your situation is even more challenging. Several people mentioned that they had macular degeneration, including a couple specifically mentioned wet macular degeneration, and some mentioned detached retina. And I've talked about this before. I'll just mention it a little bit, that sometimes it's really interesting to just think, close your eyes again if you like. Sometimes that's easier. But sometimes it's really interesting to think back just before you either had the symptoms or before you were diagnosed, which is kind of a gray area because sometimes something may be happening but you don't know it yet. Just before that, was there a difficult stretch in your life? You know, did you have, you know, did somebody die, or did you have a big disappointment, or did you just look in the mirror one day and go, wow, how did I get this old? You know, these are the kinds of things that precede. I worked with a lot of people with so-called eye diseases, and these are the kinds of things that precede somebody getting, let's say, a cataract. Okay, well, close your eyes again, and even if you just have reading glasses, or you even are just trying to stay away from reading glasses, go with me on this. I'll talk specifically about cataract, but see if you can feel this mechanism. Okay, so closing the eyes again, just feel how Louise Hay would say about cataracts. She would say, energetically, the future looks dark. Okay, and if when I meet with somebody for a vision coaching session, if they feel really safe and really examine, more often than not, they'll say, oh, that's so true. That's so true. My life was really difficult right before I had these symptoms. Okay, now close your eyes again. This is the cool part. Okay, so close your eyes again and ask yourself, okay, if, let's say you have like one of those balance scales, you know, and it's like whichever one is heavier is the one that drops down. So let's say that the balance scale has gone down towards cataract. Okay. And let's say initially that was caused by the difficulty, but now it's almost like it's being sustained by the fear. It's like, I don't want to go back to the eye doctor. What's he going to tell me? So now just imagine, whether you call it law of attraction or you know, very specific prayer that very, you know, doesn't like beg for something, but says clearly, this is what I want, and this is what I'm asking for. And so now again, eyes closed may be the most helpful. And whether it's again, reading glasses or strong nearsighted or cataract. But in the case of cataract, the eye doctor is going to tell you, and see, this is the thing you have to be careful, is the eye doctor is going to tell you, okay, well, there's all these protein deposits in between all these layers, which are like onions in the lens, and now, sorry, but it's only going to get worse. Well, what they won't tell you is that some cataracts go away on their own. Some just do. Okay, well, how does that happen? Okay, also some cataracts go away when people do Bates techniques, or when people do other energetic techniques, or when people do very intensive dietary changes. Okay, so again, closing your eyes, and whatever your particular malady is, you know, nearsightedness, your eyeball's too long And Dr. Bates would say that's because the muscles wrapped around your eyes are too tight, so they're like a tourniquet, and they're squeezing around the middle and making the eyeballs too long. Presbyopia, or the where you need reading glasses, middle age, could be either some other muscles pulling your eyes in and flattening them, or what the eye doctor would say, and is that the lens has lost its flexibility. Well, the thing is, you know, if you get a frozen shoulder or something like that, your shoulder's lost its flexibility too, but you want it to come back. And the thing is, thousands upon thousands of people have been able to have their close vision come back. And whatever exactly the mechanism of that, the lens plus these other muscles, it almost doesn't matter, but it has to do with relaxation. So I wish I could look out and, well, okay, I'll pretend I am. So nod your head if you're kind of absorbing this. See, so this isn't so much of a logical thing. This is more of a feeling thing. Okay, so now back to the person with the cataract and back to this balance scale. Okay, so the balance scale has been tilted towards a cataract, you know, which I like to call cloudiness, because cataract is a loaded word. Okay, it's a poison word. So, okay, so, but now let's say whatever those thoughts were that made that happen, if you believe even 30%, maybe 80, that the thoughts were important. Now, what if you can push down the other side of the balance beam with really happy thoughts, and or prayer, and or a really wonderful new yoga practice that you just discovered, or a 1 month vacation that you've been wanting to do for your whole life. But say now that balance scale starts to tip. See, the eye doctor would have you believe that that isn't going to help, because those protein deposits happened. They're there, they're stuck, it's genetic, whatever. But can't you just feel how it's not genetic? Can't you just feel how it's cause and effect? Okay, so so I could name any other condition, you know, like glaucoma. You know, as there's this pressure building in your eye, and you know, you have all this vitreous gel in the back of your eye, and then the lens, which is near the front of the eye, and then you have the aqueous gel on the front, and then all this fluid is constantly trying to find its way on out, and it needs to balance pressure. Well, can you imagine if you have thoughts like Louise Hay would say, glaucoma is that you have somebody maybe who's done you wrong, and you just can't let go of it. You don't know how to forgive them. You know, see if that resonates. If, you know, take it with a grain of salt if it doesn't. But see, there's a very delicate canal where the fluid has to move through to equalize that pressure. And if there are angry thoughts in there, which makes tight muscles, which crimps down on those little canals, then you can see how the pressure would build up. So anyway, those are just examples. And let me see how I'm doing here on, okay. I'm going to go just a little longer and then take questions. So here's kind of a fun example of why, and you know, every doctor is sincere. Every chemical engineer is sincere. You know, we're all sincere in doing what we know, but not everybody has every part of the story. And so my sister once was visiting an eye doctor, and he said, hey, you know, pretty soon you're going to be getting reading glasses. And she says, my parents don't have reading glasses. And he said, that's really not possible. And so then she explained that, yeah, both of her parents, our mom, when she was younger, used to wear glasses for driving and gradually didn't need them. And Dad, one day he decided he didn't need glasses, and then he really didn't. And so, so he told her that is not possible because the lens hardens. There is no possible way that your parents could be seeing close and distance. He said the only way is if one eye is nearsighted, the other eye is farsighted, because the eyes cannot focus. So my sister, being the scientist, went home, and or next time she visited our parents, she tested them both, near and far. Covered one eye, okay, Dad, and he could see fine in the distance. Okay, other eye, he could see fine in the distance. Okay, Dad, up close. He could see fine up close. Okay, he could see fine up close. And so could Mom. And, you know, how weird is that there just happened to be two parents in the same family that for some reason were able to focus all through the distances. But it's just, you know, obviously, you know, that eye doctor believes what he wants to believe, and to some small extent it's true. But I just think that's kind of a fun example. And of course, my sister never went back to tell him, you know, we all have our quote unquote blind spots. And I think I still have some. And so we all do the best we can. But I know I'm talking to a bunch of believers here at this webinar, so I don't need to persuade you that you need to find out for yourself. You know, your doctor's partly right, and you need to bring part of the formula and experiment with your own body and mind. So what I'd like to do now is go to questions. Well, wait a minute. Let's do something relaxing. What should we do? Let's see, it's about 26 after. Yeah, let's do something relaxing just for a moment. Okay, go ahead and let's say close your eyes again. It's interesting when you're doing the Bates method. Sometimes it really helps to close your eyes for a lot of different activities, because things are more forthcoming when you use your imagination or when you pretend. So close your eyes and now pretend or imagine, if your problem is reading glasses, then kind of feel up close. Feel how if something came up close to you, it would be a strain. And feel, at least a lot of you who just have reading glasses may still have very good distance vision. And now just feel how, as you let your vision go out, feel how relaxed it is. Okay, and now bring it back in again. And you can feel, it's like your whole body starts to brace. It's not just your eyes. Okay, well then likewise, if you're nearsighted, do the opposite. And I'll try and give signals in a way that you can just respond to your condition. If you're nearsighted, then usually, even if you're extremely nearsighted, there's some distance up close, it might only be an inch away, that feels very safe, very friendly, very doable. So pretend that you're up at that distance from your eyes, and notice and pretend that you're like reading something or examining a button or counting the compound eyeballs in a fly, or well, whatever you call them, the little lenses in the fly. And it's very relaxing. But now if you start to let it go out, and again, best with your eyes closed, just imagine you're nearsighted and you let it go out, then not only your eyes, you can feel your eyes starting to strain, but you can, if you notice, you'll find other parts too. Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. Okay, you might be farsighted or you know, need reading glasses, or you might be nearsighted. Even if you have astigmatism, there's probably a place where you see best. If you have cataract, there may be a place where you see best. If you have macular degeneration, there might be a place where you see best. But here's what I want you to notice is, okay, zoom to the place that's the most clear and easy for you. Zoom there now. And just kind of hang out there and pretend that you're examining something at that easy, clear distance. And now zoom the other direction to where it's blurry or more blurry. And just notice how it feels all through your body, all through your mind. Where's the discomfort? Now zoom back to where it's clear again. Notice you might have even started to breathe. It feels good there. Okay, and now zoom back to where it's more blurry. And just notice each time, maybe you notice your gut being a little tighter, or your shoulders or your neck. Notice you stop breathing. Okay, now let's find out what's going on here. Okay, go back to where it's clear, or the most clear. And what you'll find is that when you're there, your eyes are dancing. They're constantly moving. They're constantly looking around. They're constantly shifting their visual interest and curiosity and attention. This is the heart of the Bates method. Okay, and now let your vision go back to where it's blurry, and you will notice that you're staring, at least relatively more. When you get to that uncomfortable place, you'll notice that things have gotten very tight. Okay, and it might be all through your face, it might be through your shoulders. Let's just do a few of those now. Okay, so zoom back to where it's relaxed and easy. And now zoom back to where it's blurry and strained. Zoom back to where it's easy and feel all that ease. Smile at all that ease. Breathe into all that ease. And now zoom back to where it's tight again, stiff again, blurry again. And now zoom back to where it's pleasant and clearer. And zoom back the other way. And just feel that tension coming. And zoom back to where it's relaxed again. Zoom back to where it's tense. And zoom back to where it's relaxed. And now just to try something interesting, zoom back to where it's tense. And now this actually be helpful. It doesn't sound helpful, but it is. And now go even further to that direction of tension. Just another 10 or 20%. Okay, and now zoom back to where it's relaxed. And let yourself go further back into that relaxation, whatever it is that it feels like. Another 10 or 20%. And now let yourself zoom back to where it's tense again, and then another 10 or 20%, and then back to where it's relaxed again. And now even another 10 or 20%. And just pretend that you can even let that relaxation deepen, widen, and become more and more pleasing. It's almost like it's just spreading all through your being and beyond. Okay, and so now, if we go back to this eye chart, and if you're on the phone, just pretend. Okay, and now just kind of easily look at this. Don't so much try to see, but get at the same distance you were at before and realize that the heart of the Bates method is a movement. And that's why I wanted to know if the mouse cursor, if you can see it, It's not very bold, but hopefully you can see the mouse cursor. And so if you're nearsighted, it might be this top row that you're looking at, or maybe this one, the second row. But just let your vision just easily shift across, and you're not trying to see any letters. See, that's the secret of it. And then I'm going lower and lower. Now I'm on the 4th row. Now I'm on the 5th row. Okay. It's like when you're trying to remember something and it doesn't come to you. When it comes to you is when you completely forget. That's how vision works too. Okay. So you're looking, now I'm on the 3rd row from the bottom, the 4th row from the top, just as an example. So if that happens to be your row, then just notice how you want to grab letters. I want to see that letter. I want to grab it. Okay, but just keep following the cursor. Drop your shoulders. Relax. Breathe. And even though part of you wants to stare, keep letting go. And now let your neck and your head move too. This is really helpful. Let your head and neck move. And now close your eyes. Continue to let your head and neck move. And pretend that your row, the row that you found helpful, interesting, a little blurry, pretend that it's getting blacker, blacker, blacker. And pretend that the background is getting whiter, whiter, whiter. And your head is still moving, your neck is still moving. Okay, now blink your eyes open. And you'll probably notice as you keep going back and forth that some of the letters are a little more clear. They may pop out even just for a moment. Okay, so there are some techniques. If you can see, closing your eyes, imagining, feeling the tension, feeling it go away, imagining blackness. That's very powerful if you want to work, say, with an eye chart. And now you can see this principle of movement versus staring. This is really the crux of the matter with Dr. Bates. So I'm going to stop sharing here. Or no, I'll leave this up for a minute. And if you want to see me bigger, there are some little buttons you can click on this floating thing. And you can click a bigger button and then I'll become bigger. I think I will. Huh. It didn't happen. It said read. Hi, read. Now I don't see me at all. I'm going to go back to the, here I am. Okay, we'll go back to that chart again just so you can refer to it. So now it's about 37 after. So there, just kind of review this and think about what we've been saying so far. Basically that, you can see it when you close your eyes, that there's these emotions and thoughts that they're really the fuel. They're really the driver. The muscles are they're just going along for the ride. It's like, oh, you want me to strain? You don't really want to see that? Oh, okay, we can arrange that, So let's go on from here to questions. And it looks like we've got quite a few people here. And there's Pamela. Oh, I think. Are you there? Oh, except I have to mute you. I have to unmute you. Okay, this will just take a second. I'm getting smarter and smarter. Okay.
Hey, I love that visualization. That was really awesome.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much.
Look for the black and then the whiter. Yeah, it was really amazing.
Cool. Okay, so you've been doing the Bates stuff for a while.
4 years.
4 years. And you've been dropping prescriptions.
Right.
And what are some of the benefits that you've noticed? Eyesight and probably other benefits too, right?
Well, actually, people say, don't you feel unsafe? And I say, I feel so much safer because my peripheral vision is so much better. I feel much more aware of everything around me. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, and do you notice any other things? Like some people have headaches go away, or their
I know,
shoulders will be more relaxed, things like that.
well, I know it's a lot easier in yoga. That was one of the first things. It's like my classes, man, they're really getting in the way.
Uh-huh.
So when I first took them off years ago, it was just really nice to be able to do yoga without
Uh-huh.
glasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, cool. And
I
so
feel much
now,
more empowered too, I would say, much more empowered.
uh-huh.
And
Great.
like my vision is coming back.
Right. Right. Okay. And now, so the question of reducing glasses, which a lot of people that are listening have already tried that, or they're about to try it. And did you go to
Yeah,
your optometrist for that, or?
I did the first
Uh-huh.
time, and I got these very expensive pair of glasses that snapped recently. So I went
Mhm.
to that cheaper site that you recommended, something with a Z,
Uh-huh.
and I went from my regular minus 3.5
Mm-hmm.
to minus 2.5 without the astigmatism in these.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got this very same prescription, and these were just ginormous, and like I didn't order them properly.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'm going to order another pair. They're only like 40 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So
In
I,
fact, I think they're as cheap as 9, but by the time you
yeah,
get the bells and whistles, you went
yeah,
there.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
saw there was a wireless pair like these, and I thought, why not? Because when I put these on, it was like, wow, that's pretty like startling, even
Mm-hmm.
with the reduced prescription. So I
Uh-huh.
thought maybe I should go to minus 1.5
Uh-huh.
with this new pair and check that out.
And you did.
Not yet. I was going to order
Oh,
them.
okay. So that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, if your regular eye doctor is happy to sell you glasses, and I've heard prices lately of $600 and $800,
Yeah.
you know, and they're very sincere, and what they sell is a very high quality. But of course, there's more markup, because there's more people involved.
Mhm.
Um, the example that I gave you and have given some other people of Zenni Optical, Zenni optical.com. That's just it's been around for years. It's an example of a real popular one that people have just been really thrilled with, and you can wind up getting several pairs of glasses for a fraction of what you get one pair.
Mhm.
And the thing is, you don't want to get too attached to the glasses anyway, because you really would like to move through them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, have you been doing much of a Bates program, or are you wanting to get more back into that?
Yeah, I'd like to do more of that too, but my biggest question was just about the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Since my right eye was 2.5 and 2.25,
Mm-hmm.
I think I should just go down like 1.5 and 1.25. I know it's hard for you to say.
Well, I guess I haven't said yet in this webinar, and I always have to say that, uh, I'm definitely not a medical person,
Right.
and I always have to bounce somebody back to their doctor for disease symptoms or prescriptions or anything like that. But guidelines that people have tended to use, and I can use Janet Goodrich's name in vain because she's deceased now. No, I'm a wonderful woman who moved from the U.S. to Australia and uh, reversed her own severe nearsightedness, and she had various kinds of astigmatism, eyes going different ways, and and she came up with, and she taught a lot of people over many years, and she came up with a way that she suggested that, say you have like a -4, I'm just giving an example,
Yeah.
she recommended dropping down a diopter, which actually you can test it and find out, everybody's different. But dropping one diopter for nearsightedness will often be legal for driving. It will often be uh, 20/40,
Mhm.
or maybe it'd work out to be like drop 3/4 of a diopter.
And a
Okay.
diopter is -4 to -3.
Right. Those are diopters.
Okay.
Like one diopter means that if you focus, well, a plus diopter, which is like a magnifying glass, if you focus through it and you're a meter away, if you focus the sun through it, it'll converge exactly in that 1 meter. And I know you wanted to know that because I'm an engineer, but yeah. But what I always recommend to people is don't get super fancy ones. Get ones that feel nice, that feel like pleasing to wear. But I always urge people to err towards getting extra pairs at more increments because they might surprise themselves at how good it feels to keep backing off.
Well, that's what I'm thinking too, because it's nice not to go to straining, you know, from using these driving to straining. So I thought, why not just bring it down 1 diopter and give myself a little bit of support? So yeah, that feels very hopeful. I'm going to go for that.
Cool. Well, keep me posted, Pamela.
Yeah, okay, I will.
And thanks for coming on and even sharing your video. And that's no pressure for anybody else to come on by video, but you can see how good we look, and it's and really we don't look this good. I mean, I don't look this good. I don't look this good normally. Pamela does.
It's all the cameras. I switched cameras. The Logitech is much better. But yeah, come on, because it's a whole new world. Everybody's online these days. So
yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much
too for that visualization you did. Excellent.
Oh, cool. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
thanks so much. So see if I need to do anything then. So now, if people are interested in asking a question now, what you can do is click Manage Participants, and then once you get in there, you'll see a little button for Raise Hand. Does that work? Hello, Steve.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. And what did you want to bring up?
Well, I've been, I guess, mildly nearsighted for a long time. And I wore glasses very, very briefly in the beginning until I first read about the Bates method. And I stopped wearing the glasses. I've not worn glasses for 30, 35 years. But so I'm wondering what can you suggest, since I can't reduce my prescription. I seem to be rather stuck where I am.
Okay. Well, for one, let's see. For one, I always think it's interesting to listen to how I say things, you know, that I'm stuck where I am. But anyway, let's say, yeah, you'd like to move ahead, right? And what do you think your prescription would be right now if you went to the eye doctor?
That's, I could take a wild guess. You know, I remember, I think I was first prescribed around -1.5. I don't really have any reason to think that it's changed an awful lot since then.
Okay, so basically you're happy about taking your glasses off, but the Bates method hasn't really worked for you as far as like reducing your prescription.
Well, I have to admit, I haven't done an awful lot of it.
Okay, so maybe what you're wanting is to shift from this like, oh, I got to do these exercises, I got to like carve a piece of my day out, to something more like, wow, I can't believe how beautiful this world is, and it feels so good to move, and wow, I'm so glad I remembered to move, and now that I'm moving and blinking, and you know, Bates' words are like shifting from this to that, and I'm I just like my gratitude just went up like 100%. I feel so grateful for everything I see, and wow, these Bates method techniques really work. It's like when I keep looking around. Now, did you notice when I was going back and forth across the eye chart, did that make your vision momentarily seem sharper?
It did. It helped. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's maybe it's just one of those interesting places. See, I think most people try to do the Bates method out of pure willpower, and maybe that's not the best. Maybe that's not the best way to do anything, you know. Like the best way is probably to do something out of like desire, out of love, out of excitement, out of a sense of, wow, it's working, you know. So maybe partly you want to shift, or would it be nice if you could come up with a slightly revised paradigm where that word that those words you said, I'm stuck, would transmute into, wow, I'm moving. Would that be good?
That would, yes.
Yeah. So let's see, what's a good tease? That picture in the back isn't too clear. But just as you look around it, if you pretend you were looking out your window and you see this mountain scene, and that's the Maroon Bells in Colorado, near Aspen. So, oh, I know, if I stand back here, it'll try and focus on me, and that'll probably get better in focus. But just as you look around, the nearsighted way is to kind of stare and to try and see everything at once. In fact, here, make a little tiny pinhole. You've probably done that before, right?
Yes.
Okay. And now, is that a little blurry, or are you too close for it to be blurry?
No, it's a little blurry back here.
Okay. So now as you make a little tiny pinhole and you put it right next to your eyeball, everybody else try this too. And even if you've done it before, because it's so amazing, it's like if you make the hole very tiny and you put it very close to your eye, then it gets sharper. Do you see that?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So what's happening here? Let's think about this. Okay, Dr. Bates talked about central fixation. Nowadays, most people call it centralization, but whatever you call it, it's the art of looking at a refined place at once, which the pinhole helps, like training wheels, to do that. In fact, a lot of people have good success with pinhole glasses. So then that way, when you put them on, you have these training wheels going on all the time. But yeah, so yeah, I guess the note I'd want to leave you with, Steve, is whatever you feel your best tools are right now. Like, do you like palming?
That's probably what I do the most.
Okay. And do you like it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, well, if you can fall in love with palming, I think that's going to be the secret. But now swinging, you know, and maybe I can like work that into the next question, and hopefully we'll work our way through some more possible techniques tonight. But is that a little helpful perspective?
Yeah, I guess so. I think I try to keep these things in mind when I'm out and about, but I think in general I'm not really aware of them. What I'm doing with my eyes.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Here, I have a brilliant idea. You could come to our workshop in Chicago.
Wow.
We have a workshop October 3rd and 4th. I also wanted to pitch it, so you gave me an opening, because that's a nice.
Signed up already.
What's that?
I've signed up.
Oh, okay. I
go ahead and pitch
that
it.
sounds familiar. Okay, wow. So you are like the perfect pitch then. Yeah. Anyway, it'll be in Chicago. It'll be at Hampton Inn in Carroll Stream, which is Chicago area, and it's a real nice conference room. And it'll be like 2 days of just diving into this stuff. And see, that's the thing, is is I think more like when I asked you, do you like palming? And you said, well, would you say kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you could fall in love with palming, then it's like, you know, when you're a teenager and, or even when you're an adult, you know, if it's time to have a different or a new relationship, you know, that part of falling in love, it's like once you fall in love, everything, you don't have to remember to call, you know. So, so, uh, so I think that's more what we're aiming for at the workshop is, and in general, I think that's more what I like to aim for with clients and you know, with my CD programs is, but the workshops, I really like them. Of course I do. But for me, the vision workshops are really fun, and people really drop down layers they did not imagine that they could in just a short time, and of relaxation, and the relaxation and the movement from that visualization earlier. Did you kind of pick up on that a little bit of how intimate relaxation is with movement and movement with relaxation?
Yeah, I have to say, you and a lot of other authors on the Bates method talk about visualization. I have trouble visualizing.
Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing you at the Chicago workshop, and I predict that you're going to connect with the visualizations in a nice way. That's my prediction.
All right.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I mean, you represent a group of people that, you know, they like the Bates method. They appreciate the Bates method. They've gotten some benefit from it. They're wearing glasses less, or in your case, not at all, which is good. It's like a stressor that's come off of the body, but you'd like to find your way home.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Well,
okay. So, well, thank you. Thank you so much, Steve.
thank you.
And I'll go ahead and take the next one. Thanks again, Steve. Okay.
Hey, Greg. This is
Hi,
Annette.
hi, Annette.
Hi.
So I guess I know you at least through emails, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am really new to trying out the Bates method and very, very hopeful and excited about the possibilities. I have so many questions that I'm going to just try to ask the ones that I think need to be answered before I come see you in Chicago.
Right.
When my eyes were last measured, which was probably March or so, my right eye was minus 2.5, and then I'm not sure exactly how to say this, minus 1 by 175, and then plus 2 for bifocal. And then my left eye was minus 2.5, minus 1 by 0.47.
Oh, could you say that again? I'm just catching
Sure.
up with you. Your
Okay.
left eye.
Left eye was minus 2.5, minus 1 by 0.47, and then plus 2 for bifocal.
Okay, great. And again, I have to emphasize, you know, I'm not a medical doctor in any way. I'm just looking at this in a folklore way.
Sure.
So you have minus 2.5, which is, you know, kind of moderate nearsightedness. You can probably see part of the eye chart without glasses. And your eyes are pretty balanced. You've got minus 2.5 in the right, minus 2.5 in the left, and then you have another minus 1 in each eye for astigmatism. So that's pretty nicely balanced anyway. That's
okay.
Kind of cool. Makes things a little easier. And the minus 1, the astigmatism, the so-called cylinder, is just at a certain number of degrees. So like on the horizon, what happens with astigmatism is, oh, I knew I had to bring this balloon out for something. Okay, so myopia or nearsightedness is like, let's say this is the front of the eye, and there's a muscle that goes around the top, and there's a muscle that goes around the bottom, these oblique muscles. Together, these muscles can squeeze and make the eyeball too long.
Mhm.
And that's what the eye doctors told us, except they say it's genetic, that our eyeball is too long if we're nearsighted.
Mhm.
Okay, so, and then farsighted is like the eyeball is too short. Okay, and so the light or whatever we were looking at, it comes in the front of the eye, it goes through the aqueous fluid, it goes through the lens, it goes through the vitreous fluid, and then it lands on the back of the retina. And ideally, it's all made to be in focus. But if the eyeball's too long, it goes, whoa, where's my retina? It's not here. It's like too far back. Or if the eyeball's too short, it's like, whoa, I just went past the retina and I haven't converged yet. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll try not to be too much of an engineer here. So astigmatism then is whereas nearsightedness might use these two oblique muscles mostly, then farsightedness, the Bates model, is that it would use these four recti muscles. Let's see, how can I show these? You know, like the eye's in a socket, right?
Mhm.
And then there's these muscles that pull the eye in and actually come back and then attach around the optic nerve. So these four recti muscles, and see, they're the muscles that like tighten. Well, no, I don't want to use the word tighten. They contract to make the eyes go different ways,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So in fact, close your eyes for a minute. Everybody close your eyes and just see if you can kind of intuit or feel or pretend. This is very powerful if you do this, because it gives you some recognition with the muscles and it helps you let them go. So, so feel or pretend that you can feel that recti muscle or the oblique muscle on the top and the bottom, the one that's kind of like a tourniquet, and pretend you can feel how that squishes down around the middle of your eye. Can you almost pretend that?
Mhm.
Okay. And it's not pretty, right? Or it doesn't feel that great, right?
Right.
When you pretend that. Okay, but it's very helpful and clarifying to pretend. And now let that go. And now feel the muscle. Remember, there's one on top of the eye that goes and attaches back behind it. So now pretend that you can feel the one on the top of the eye contracting, makes the eye look upwards, right?
Okay.
Does that, like geometrically or mechanically, that makes sense, right?
Yes.
Contracts. And now feel the bottom one contracts and makes the eye look down. The one on the left contracts and it makes the eye pull to the left. The one on the right contracts, makes the eye pull to the right. Do you feel all those?
I think so.
And that's redundant, but it kind of helps you tune your mind as to what's going on. Now, just imagine, how old were you when you got glasses?
I was about in 8th grade, but I really probably was needing them in 6th grade, but I just kept saying I don't want to get glasses, and
Okay.
so.
Okay. So that's perfect. So close your eyes now and imagine you're in junior high, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now imagine, or almost to high school. It's kind of a spectrum you described. Okay. And now imagine that those muscles, which normally would just rotate the eye upwards, downwards, side to side, imagine those muscles are starting to go, this world doesn't look quite right to me. This junior high is all screwed up. And you can feel those emotions go into those muscles and they tighten them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And they might start hanging on for 24/7 because it might be a stress or a confusion that it's hard to let go of. And now add to that the muscle, that oblique muscle across the top, and you can kind of pretend that you can feel, and the oblique muscle around the bottom, you can kind of pretend that those together are conspiring like a tourniquet to make your eyeball too long. Do you kind of, can you pretend?
Yeah, I can pretend. I mean, I don't know if I can feel all that, but I can.
Right. Pretend is even better,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
Okay. So now, and this is, so now for everybody that's following along with this, you're starting to feel the nuances of nearsightedness, farsightedness, and then like reading glasses might involve more the lens in the eye, which is up front. But again, there's a muscle involved, a circular muscle around the lens. And when that muscle tightens, it makes the lens get thicker, more like a stronger magnifying glass, and it actually helps for reading. And some people would say that that might be involved in nearsightedness too, that it kind of gets stuck there because now that muscle is chronically strained. Okay, so here you are in junior high, and you still got your eyes closed?
Yeah.
Just again, because sometimes it's easier to pretend these things with the eyes closed. So now pretend that all these thoughts and feelings and emotions, and being a teenager has enough of that anyway. But whatever those particulars were, and now imagine it's like what astigmatism is it's not just that the focal length has become wrong on the eyes. Now there's another ingredient. It's not spherical anymore. It's a little bit aberrant. How do I say that? Or a little bit distorted around the periphery. And so, like a lot of people resonate with this. Louise Hay has one way she says it. The one I've come up with that people really like is that in a person with astigmatism, it's like, here, I'll hold up my little orange balloon again. And a person with astigmatism, like normally you just want to look around, and see the world but the person with astigmatism is like maybe a really creative person that's trying to figure out how to fit into this linear world. And so they go, is that it? Is that it? Maybe it's that. And so finally they come up with the least of evils and just go, okay, I'll just settle with this. Well, can you kind of pretend or feel or sense how now the cornea is a little contorted?
Yeah, that makes
okay,
sense.
That's astigmatism. And the reason I took so long way around about this is just to give you more of a visceral sense, and possibly coupled to a thought sense and an emotional sense of how that might arise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So
the question I have related to my prescription is...
Oh, that's right, the question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got a little sidetracked there.
No, that was helpful.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be going back to my optometrist before I come to the course, and I plan to get my vision rechecked. Do you have any tips for going through that eye exam and getting the the truest measurement?
If you're not in a hurry, I'd recommend waiting till after.
Oh, well.
But if you feel it's time to go, yeah, the main things you want to do with an optometrist is, first, before you go, you want to let everybody palm together for a minute here. We'll have synergistic palming. Okay, so I'll just pretend that you know how to palm. I won't give a long, belabored description. But basically, you're just caressing and loving your eyes with your hands. Your eyes are gently closed. Your fingers are melting into your forehead. And you can feel now there's a current of relaxation flowing, circulating through your body, flowing up through your arms, wrists, palms, into your eyes. And you can feel your eyes relaxing. You can even pretend or imagine that they're healing and returning to their natural round shape. Okay, that feels good, right?
Yeah, it feels pretty good.
Oh, pretty good. Okay, well, we'll fine tune it in Chicago. Okay. But that's what you want to do before you go to the eye doctor's office. You want to palm, you want to, because the thing is, it's terrible when you sit in that chair and the doctor says, which is better, 1 or 2? And with astigmatism, you've got a whole nother doorway to go through. It's you really want to envision yourself being real relaxed, envision yourself being able to see the chart easily. That way you'll get the best numbers. And then also ask the eye doctor, tell the eye doctor, say, look, you know, this prescription is too strong for me at the computer. I want something reduced at the computer. And then maybe they'll give you like a minus 1.5 prescription. And then you might even say, well, okay, I'm working with this program where they say to drop away the astigmatism. And at that point, he's going to go, what are you talking about? Or she. Anyway, that's a little bit, you know, you want to find the friendliest optometrist you can. Actually, strangely, I'm sad to say there's a lower proportion of friendly Bates-oriented optometrists today probably than there was when I first met up with it in the 1970s. And I'm really sad to say that, but it's like in some ways the medical world is more open to alternatives, but for some reason the optometry people got a pass on that. It's like everybody buys it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
So
do you think that I should try to get a prescription without any correction for the astigmatism?
Well, see, the cool thing about a place like Zenny, and this is folklore, you didn't hear this from me, although I'm recording this.
but yeah, just options.
But basically, if you go to Zenny Optical with the numbers, you can actually just put in the prescription that you want. I mean, it presumes that you're an adult and you can order what you want, and you don't have to get on your knees and beg for a prescription that says that. So that's what a lot of people do with Zenny and other companies like that, is they'll check the little box that says, I take full responsibility for my craziness. Yeah.
So if I were to try to like decrease the astigmatism power, and it was the numbers I gave you today, would that be, what would be a decrease from -1 by 175?
To 0. That would be, again, I'll take Janet Goodrich's name in vain. Yeah, she would say if your astigmatism is higher than 2, you should just cut it in half. But if it's lower than 2, just she says eliminate it. And of course, you can experiment from there. Happily, the glasses are cheap.
Yes.
You know, at a place like Zenny Optical. So I'm going to sound like a Zenny Optical commercial. Yeah. Oh, and so 2 people in a row are coming to Chicago. Very cool. So now you guys kind of sort of already met. So two of the people know each other. Again, in case anybody else is interested, we have a reduced, let's see, now it's going through this Saturday, early registration. That's $195 for that weekend. And you still have to get the hotel if you want to stay at the hotel. but we have a really good rate on that. And it's not too awful far from, if you're flying in, it's not too awful far from O'Hare. It's a little farther from Midway. So, and it's drivable. It's amazing how many people live in Chicago or near it. So it's drivable from a lot of places too. So, and then you'd get to meet Annette and Steve if you come.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Okay. Thanks,
maybe
Greg.
I'll sneak in one more question. But yeah, thanks, Annette. And I really look forward to meeting you pretty soon.
Yep, me too. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi, my name's Eileen.
Eileen. Okay. Great. Thanks for coming on. And what did you want to bring up?
Well, I actually live in Chicago. And I
Oh,
would love
cool.
to come, but I'm going to be out of town that weekend, which is a big disappointment. So
Well, darn you.
I'm brand new to all this stuff. I listen to people with their numbers like a -2 or 5, and I'm like a 15 and a 14. I have astigmatism. I wear reading glasses. I was told I have congenital cataracts, and recently was told that I have in my right eye early macular degeneration. So that's enough to freak me out to want to do something big to try and turn things around.
Yeah. Oh, wow. There is one other thing I wanted to mention. Not that I'm trying to pitch this to you, but I wanted to mention it during this webinar. And that is that I also do teacher trainings, or well, now we call them vision coach, natural vision coach trainings. And they're like this one, the next one will be January. Actually, we just nailed it down today. It's going to be at a wonderful place on the beach in LA, Redondo Beach. It's at the Redondo Beach Inn. It's a very nice place, and got a very nice conference room. And sorry, I'm giving my pitch here just for a sec, Eileen. But you never know. It could be a match. And it's a way to delve in really deep for 5 days in person, and then we continue online. We have weekly classes like with this platform, except then we can all see each other. And anyway, you can learn more about that on the website, and if you're on my newsletter, I'll keep you posted. But one reason I bring that up is like people that have come to the training often have had fairly difficult eyesight conditions. Like one woman came with a minus, I don't know, up in the teens, and she had terrible migraines. And well, she actually came to a workshop first. And by the end of the workshop, she was done with her migraines. She had worked that out.
Oh.
And she had a little bit of prism, and that she didn't need anymore. And she was starting to back off on her prescription. And it's interesting. I mean, when you're backed into a corner with such high nearsightedness, it's really interesting trying to find your way back. Plus, people that are that nearsighted tend to want very extreme results, or tend to want perfection. And it's like part of the beauty of that high prescription is it comes with this personality of having really high standards, being really loyal to people. You know some of those things, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes it's like too much. And it's like, it's so much that you can't ever quite get there, And so, so now I just wanted to mention that there was one fellow who came that had pretty significant macular degeneration to where he wasn't supposed to drive, but he hadn't really reported in yet. And this was several years ago, and he came, oh, I didn't finish. The one lady came to the workshop and made some improvement, and then she came to the training and continued to step down. And she still has a significant prescription, but her life is very different. Just taking that edge off of everything always like being so strong and so hyper is like a miracle. And then we had another fellow that took the teacher training that, and you know, the vision coach training, and really, you know, on the one hand, it's really for, you know, learning the ropes so that you can teach this to others. But on the other hand, it's like a wonderful, wonderful connection that everybody makes. It's very safe, and almost everybody makes really pleasing life changes from it, including healing. And so there was a fellow who came who had significant macular degeneration, and it just pretty much went away.
Wow.
And just, you know, different people have different doorways. Sometimes palming is the secret. This particular fellow, he liked swinging. That was his cat's meow, was swinging, and he just did it like all the time. And see, the thing is, it's like, especially with the high nearsightedness, everything's kind of, you can feel it, right? It's kind of, it's gotten a little bit, I want to choose the words, I almost say frozen, but it's gotten kind of immobile, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like, remember in The Wizard of Oz, I'm running over a little bit here, so if anybody has to go, I hope you'll just take care of yourself, but you don't mind if we go a little longer, right, Eileen?
No, I don't mind.
Okay. Okay. So remember in The Wizard of Oz, remember the Tin Man? Oil, oil, you know? Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is like he's all stiff like this, and that's how the muscles in the eyes are relatively. And so the oil is pleasing emotions. The oil is letting yourself off the hook a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The oil is palming. Swinging is oil. Do you see why?
I don't really know much about what swinging is, so.
Oh.
I'm like brand new.
Cool. I could make up anything. Okay. But palming, I guess you already got a sense of what it is.
Right.
From when we did it. And swinging, these are Bates techniques from Dr. William H. Bates, who lived quite a while back, but his approaches are amazing. And they have far-reaching health effects besides just eyesight. So swinging is just, notice, stand really rigid for a minute, or you're probably sitting, right?
I can stand.
Either way. So be pretty rigid and just kind of, you know, stare down what's in front of you. All your muscles are tight. That feels terrible, right?
Right.
In fact, some people, it'll remind them of how they feel at their computer. Okay. But now, hang on to that feeling, that tight feeling, but just start gently swaying back and forth. And you'll notice you really can't hang on.
Right.
As you start to sway back and forth. Okay. And this is, have you ever heard of EMDR?
Yes.
EMDR is the same thing. EMDR is, you know, back and forth. Oh, if you're on the phone, I'm just putting one hand and then the other, one hand and the other, one side and then the other. It's a natural principle of life that movement, and maybe it's even movement, you know, like the people that are into brain gym and stuff like that would say, it might be a movement from our one hemisphere into our other hemisphere and moving back and forth across it. But whatever it is, Dr. Bates went so far as to say that if a person is properly swinging, which at first is physical, but then becomes also mental in just a super pleasing way. Does that make sense?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. He went so far as to say that a person who's really, really swinging deeply, rightly, correctly, pleasingly, that they can't feel pain at the same time.
Wow.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
And I've experimented with that to the extent I can. You know, the one where I stick nails through my hand and now does it hurt? No, I haven't done that. But
Good.
but another thing, it's wonderful to do swinging before you go to bed, before you go to sleep, because sometimes people will be a little, if you have trouble going to sleep, about it. But I'll tell you the message I want to give you on the cataract and early macular degeneration idea is, again, were you listening when I was kind of talking about the balance scale?
Yes. The whole time.
Okay. So just think, okay, we always think, oh, well, we've got ourselves into this. Now it's a medical condition. Now there's no way home. But that's not it. It's like, it's just balance, right? And so if we can find the antidote, which is probably going to be largely the thought doorway, combined with the movement doorway, which is going to, either by name or just by association, it's going to help dissolve like emotional blocks. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And you know, I won't like ask you what, or even whether maybe, but just reflect on, before you got that diagnosis, was there a difficult chapter in your life? And you know, I'm really fond of EFT too.
Yeah.
It sounds like you maybe know that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes and yes. Very difficult time, and I never put the two together.
Yeah. So see, putting them together, that's empowering, because then you go, okay, the doctor said it's genetic. However, I know that's not really true. And that gives you a lot of power. And also, ironically, once you get a diagnosis like that, it's like a big damper. When what you really need now is positive emotions. And yet the doctor's handed you this big bag of like gloom.
And fear.
Yeah, it's like ophthalmologist offices. And I think they're very sincere people. But you go in there and it's like a fear factory. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with that they didn't stop going to their eye doctor, but they started going much less often because they realized all they were doing is like the bellows come out and like, okay, let's fan that fire of fear again, you know?
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm not trying to be medical in any way. I'm not at all saying don't go to an ophthalmologist, but just, you know, it's your own life and you're in charge of it. And each of us has some ability to see cause and effect. And if anyway.
My goal is to be able to go back and have them say, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what you did, but this is, it's unheard of."
Cool. But just keep one thing in perspective. Like you have friends that have healed cancer, I bet. Or you have a friend of a friend, or you've heard an inspiring story.
Yes, and I have done a lot of healing myself, even on myself in other areas.
Cool. Okay. Well, it's so weird because everybody wants to go back and help the doctor see their way through this. But most doctors cannot hear it. They will not hear it. They'll say, well, it must be a mistake in the diagnosis.
Yeah.
But I wish you luck. I mean, obviously some doctors really are like sponges and they want to learn. And hopefully that's your doctor will be like that.
Yeah. It's for me. It's not to shove it in their face or anything, but it's just so that I can know that I can do something and empower myself.
Yeah. So, okay.
So
well,
is it possible to do like the teacher training without having done a weekend? Like the one?
Yeah, it certainly is.
Okay.
It certainly is. And again, the one we're doing next is It's in LA. We just nailed it down. It's like the 19th, which it's a Tuesday through a Saturday. So it's 5 days in person. And then we make a really nice connection and start working with each other. We do buddy coaching, so-called, where people work with each other by Skype. And then, and that part is very powerful. You know, once people get to know each other and trust each other, and they have this, you know, momentum of healing going on, it's really nice.
Cool.
So.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Eileen. But yeah, definitely see yourself on the other side of those two diagnoses. I won't repeat the words because you've already heard them enough. Yeah, those we'll call them little imbalances. How's that?
That sounds good.
Yeah, which you will rebalance and they'll go away.
Yep.
So.
That's the plan.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Eileen. And I guess I don't need to get too exact about the unmuting and all this stuff now. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. There are a couple more people that had their hands up, and apologize I couldn't get all the way through. A couple of you, I guess I talked to before we started the official thing. But anyway, I really appreciate everybody who came to this webinar. And again, I just think so much of this process of improving eyesight, of healing eyesight, and even healing so-called eye diseases, is it has more to do with love and more to do with you know, well, law of attraction or whatever you call it, or prayer, and then the Bates stuff can really start to work. So subtle, I think, is a good word, rather than sledgehammer. And or it's like, yeah, I don't know. I was going to come up with more analogies, but yeah, maybe it is. It's like, you know, something germinates and it doesn't seem like there's much there, but if you give it some love and fertilizer, sun, you know, it knows where to go. Our eyes remember. They remember how to be whole. So I'll wrap up on that note. Many thanks to everybody who came, and I will make this available as a recording too, and that may be in another week or so when it's about right to send out another newsletter, maybe a couple weeks. So okay, one last pitch, since I see most of you are still here, for the workshop in Chicago, which is October 3rd and 4th, Saturday, Sunday. And then the Vision Coach training, which starts in person in California. And we have a wonderful location, wonderful hotel right on the beach in Redondo Beach. And we got pretty good prices because it's off season. So, okay. So I'm starting to drop people now. Enough sales pitch. Yeah. So I wish all of you, all of us, the very best in eyesight and all things. So really nice spending the time with you all. And I'll sign off. This may take me a second, but bye-bye.